Today is a very special episode where we're going to be reviewing the baby flat contrabass trombone. So if you couldn't tell, this is the Miraphone contrabass trombone that we bought from O'Malley. It's a very big girl right here, and I would love to explain this beautiful instrument right here. Here's the case that it came in. It did not come with a spray bottle, but it did come with this cloth right here to get your fingerprints off of it, I guess. And it's a lot smaller than I thought it was, at least the case is. The contrabass trombone itself is pretty decently big, but I'm pretty sure the contrabass F trombone is a lot bigger. So this contrabass came with a mouthpiece, and it is a type mouthpiece. Doesn't fit perfectly on the trombone. As you can see, if I put it in there, it's very deep. And I'm not sure if it's the right mouthpiece or not, because it's definitely not a tuba mouthpiece. It's probably a contrabass trombone mouthpiece for a different type of contrabass. But I have this tuba mouthpiece right here. Fits perfectly. So God knows what happened to this mouthpiece. Maybe it was manufactured improperly, or it's a different kind of mouthpiece. But yeah, the mouthpiece that mine came with, it's not, I don't think it's the proper one, but it still works either way. It's a better mouthpiece for tone, because the cup is a lot more it's got a lot more depth and width to it, while this one has a lot more depth to it. This one has a lot more depth to it. This one has a lot more width to it, if that makes sense. And this one has a much bigger rim. So this is a loud and ugly mouthpiece. This is a tone mouthpiece. It's just that this don't fit very well. Too deep. But that's fine, because at least it's functional. Let's talk more about the trombone itself. So there are some very bad downsides that comes with this. For one, there's only one spit valve on one slide. That means the other slide, you can't empty the spit from there. Now, it might seem like that's fine, because oh no, it's not gonna reach to the other slide, so I should be fine. No, you're wrong. It produces spit very quickly, meaning that you have to empty very frequently. And that's a problem, because in order to empty the other slide's spit, you have to take the slide off. And did I mention that you're doing it with one hand? Did I mention you're doing it with one hand? So you have to hold the instrument up, undo the slide lock, which, by the way, you can't undo the slide lock unless you have the slide pushed in a little bit. So you could take that off, which is another downside. Hold up the instrument high, undo the slide lock, and then pull the slide out. You could rest the trombone on your shoulder for now, and empty the spit by turning the slide upside down right there. However, when you're putting it back in, you have to go far and extend your arm out to put the slide back in, which is also really hard to do, because you're lining up two sets of slides. Two sets, I don't know. Right here, you're lining up both of those, and it's really hard to do, especially when you have very short arms who can't reach all the way back there. Now, another downside to this is that it plays very sharp. You can pull out this tuning slide, except for your B flat's going to be flat, or your first position is going to be flat. So would you rather have a very sharp 6 and 7th position? Which, by the way, 7th position doesn't exist on this instrument, because it just doesn't exist. So would you rather have a very sharp 5th and 6th position, or would you rather have a very flat first position? That is for you to decide. Now, onto the high notes. Oh dear, they play very, very flat, especially on this instrument. So that's another thing that goes with the tuning slide being pulled out. You have very flat high notes. So usually your D would be first position, right? On this instrument, you have to push it out a little bit. No, you have to pull it in a bit, but like, that's your first position, which is flat because of your tuning slide. So that's another bad thing. The high notes on this are very flat. However, this is not all just a detriment. This instrument is beautiful. Why? Because loud. Yes, loud. You might be thinking, oh, it also plays very low. Yeah, you're right, but are you able to play very low is the question. Because just because you have a bigger instrument that's pitched lower doesn't mean you can be playing lower. You only play as low as what your lips allow you to. Trent Hamilton, which is the YouTuber I stole the intro from and I made fun of his accent. I apologize deeply, but it's for the sake of a parody. He explained this very well, saying that, well, I don't remember his exact words, but he did explain how just because your instrument is lower pitched doesn't mean you are lower pitched. But hey, you don't buy a contrabass trombone to play loud. You buy a contrabass trombone to buy a contrabass trombone. Now, onto the more positives of the instrument. The next thing I'm going to talk about is not even entirely a positive. It's actually a double-edged sword. It's very freely blowing. So when you play this instrument, no resistance. Trent Hamilton has explained that in his video of the BB-flat Miraphone contrabass, which is this trombone right here. And it takes a lot of air to play. That could be a good thing because you like to play loud, you like to play strong. That could be a bad thing for those of you who are shy trombone players, shy tuba players who play very quietly because you're afraid of being wrong. No mean to call you guys out, but this instrument is not for you if that's the case. I apologize, but you gotta be able to play very loud. You're not really loud. You just gotta be able to have strong lungs in order to play this instrument well, because it's very demanding in the air quantity. It's very demanding in the air supply because, like I said, it's freely blowing. Now for the trigger, it's just like a standard B-flat trombone trigger. Puts it to 6th position or pitches it in the key of F. It would also reminds me that this instrument in general is just pitched an octave lower than a standard tenor or bass trombone. It's just that imagine a slide tuba. The slide positions are the same, albeit very out there. And it's like plays like a tuba, except for it's not like a tuba at all. So it's not a tuba, a slide tuba, if you will, which that is not what this is, because the tone is not exactly the same. With this instrument, the tone and sound of this instrument is very unique because you'd expect it to sound like a tuba trombone, but not really. It's more like it's got its own distinct sound that I can't really describe. But if we're being real, it's like a tuba, just not exactly like a tuba. But then again, contrabass trombone. We've talked about the one upside of this instrument. We've talked about the many downsides of this instrument. Let's get to playing this instrument. If you heard you heard the concerto at the beginning of this video, I'll link that in the description because I didn't make it. I just played it. I stole it from a person on YouTube. You clicked on this video to hear some low notes, didn't you? And that's the thing about this instrument. You can play low notes very easily compared to a bass trombone or tenor trombone. But again, it requires a lot of air. You can play low notes very loudly, and I like that, but air, as I said before. Also, the tonguing on this is very different. Not really, it's not different, it's just that it's a lot harder to do because all that air going through, you need a very heavy tongue in order to actually tongue those notes very well. So it's kind of, for me at the very least, it's really hard to tongue fast. You see, I had to sacrifice the tone of those 6th position and 4th position I played there in order to try to tongue it well, which is something I'm not very well accomplished with on lower instruments in general. With bass trombone, I could tongue fine because it's a smaller mouthpiece and it's not as demanding, so I could tongue that much easier. But on tuba and contrabass, I don't really play tuba as often as the trombone, so I can't tongue very well on tuba. Now imagine that on this instrument, trying to tongue But if you could get past that, it's a gorgeous little instrument right here. I mean, big instrument. Now for the drop test. I'm just kidding. I'm sorry, Trent Hamilton. I'm very sorry. But yeah, that's the contrabass trombone. If to sum it all up, you don't want to buy this instrument unless you want to buy this instrument. You buy the instrument to play contrabass trombone, not to be practical, not to make sense, not even to just be a band kid. You play it to play contrabass. And why don't we end off on a good note with the loudest pedal note I could play. That was bad. I hope the phone microphone picks that up very well. And I'll see you guys later. Maybe.